The forest. A very interesting habitat found in many parts of this planet. It's not hard to admire the beautiful aspects of the forest, but unfortunately, many cruel acts of humanity have led many of these forests to complete wipeout. So in this video, I'll be covering many parts of the forest, such as ecosystem information, food chains, human impact, and more. The forest is an ecological system that heavily relies on trees as a dominant life form. Scientists like to classify forests as nature's most efficient system due to the fact that photosynthesis positively affects both the plants and animals that live in the system. Common forests are known for their mass tree populations and many living organisms. For example, when the word forest comes to mind, the first couple of animals people would think of are usually bears, squirrels, and rabbits, which would be correct. They all live in the forest. Forests are mainly characterized by its diverse source of many abiotic and biotic elements. This means that the forest contains a lot of living and non-living things that support each other and keep the ecosystem running. Some examples of biotic factors are trees, such as Douglas fir trees, southern pines, sugar maples, and more. Many animals, such as wolves, bears, and squirrels. Plants such as ferns, moss, wildflowers, and sedges, and more. Some examples of abiotic factors in the forest are water, sunlight, rainfall, and humidity. Humidity is mainly generated by the evaporation process. The more water evaporates in an area, the more water vapor rises into the atmosphere, creating a lot of humidity. The trees and plants are heavily relied on by smaller animals due to the fact these are the main producers of the forest. This means that the plants and trees provide other living things in the forest with energy and oxygen. For example, trees take minerals and water from soil, light and energy from the sun, and a bit of carbon dioxide from the air. The producers then take this mix and wait for animals to feed off of them, providing them with energy and nutrients. Next in the line of the food chain are primary consumers. Primary consumers are usually only small animals that mainly feed on plants and greens. Mice, squirrels, and rabbits are all examples of primary consumers. There's not much to say about them. They only live their happy lives and eat the producers, before being graphically eaten up by animals known as the secondary consumers. Secondary consumers are usually omnivores, but they can be herbivores as well, depending on diet preferences. Usually, the omnivore secondary consumers eat the primary consumers when they aren't eating their greens. Some examples of secondary consumers are owls, hawks, and cougars. Next in the food chain line are the main mighty Sigma alphas, the tertiary consumers. They rule the forests and walk around satiating their hunger by feasting on the secondary and primary consumers. Some examples of tertiary consumers would be wolves, foxes, and coyotes. After the tertiary consumers live nice, long, and happy lives, they eventually die and decompose into the soil. This is where the decomposers of the forests come in handy. Decomposers work hard to break down dead plants and animals and transform them into organic matter and nutrients that are later used to support the growth of other organisms. Some examples of decomposers would be common fungi types, slugs, snails, flies, maggots, beetles, and earthworms. Even though decomposers may visually look ugly or repulsive or disgusting, they play a massive part in keeping the forest ecosystem alive and running. Now here is one great example of a common food chain in the forest. These food chains are important in terms of keeping an ecosystem alive, but unfortunately, humans have negatively impacted these food chains, putting many forests at risk. For example, when humans hunt down many animals, it can cause food chains to fall apart. If people hunt down big groups of squirrels, it removes vital food sources for many secondary consumers such as raccoons, possibly killing them off due to hunger. If there are no secondary consumers, tertiary consumers like wolves won't have much to eat, due to the fact primary consumers are also off the menu. Once tertiary consumers die due to hunger, decomposers can still do their job breaking down dead consumers, but once they're converted to nutrients, there won't be any primary consumers to feed off of them due to the fact that they were hunted down, as mentioned earlier. Speaking of negative human impact, activities such as deforestation are another reason many forests are at risk yearly. Deforestation? Self-explanatory. Many people like to cut down many trees, up to a point where it can kill off whole ecosystems, which in this case would be forests. This can happen due to high demand for resources that might need a lot of wood. As mentioned earlier, hunting is one of the main reasons forests are put at risk every year, but sometimes it gets too out of hand. People like to push their animal supply farm limits to the max. This is referred to as overexploitation. Some examples of overexploitation are overfishing and overhunting. Overfishing is when people hunt fish faster than stocks can replenish. There aren't any specific fish types in the forest severely affected by it, but the action itself has affected more than a third of the fish in forests worldwide. Overhunting, on the other hand, poses a much larger risk towards forests. As mentioned before, hunting certain groups of animals can severely disrupt food chains, and this sadly happens to a lot of forests worldwide. Overhunting has led to the extinction of many producers, such as trees. Some trees that have gone extinct due to overexploitation are St. Helena redwoods, lay whitebeams, and mountain ash trees. If acts of deforestation aren't pushed to the limit, it can do some good things. If some trees are responsibly cleared out, it can reduce the chances of large-scale forest fires, give more healthy nutrients to nearby plants, and improve biodiversity, especially if the trees being cut down are old. Overexploitation, on the other hand, shows absolutely no benefit towards forests and the environment, as this action causes major harm towards species and sometimes pushes species to endangered status. There's always good solutions to bad problems though. Restoring, preserving, and conserving can help these ecosystems stay in the best condition possible. Planting many trees and seeds is very important, especially if a severe natural disaster has passed. Natural disasters such as wildfires and severe thunderstorms can terribly impact forests, which is why people need to try hard to restore them. Conserving and preserving can help these forests, even if it can't keep them in the best condition. Most normal citizens can't do much to help, but the best one can do is donate and give support to organizations and groups that do their best to help these ecosystems stay alive. Some examples of forest conservation groups are the Rainforest Alliance, Trees for the Future, Team Trees, Ecology Action Center, Global Forest Coalition, and more. In conclusion, forests are a beautiful aspect of nature and should be cared for, as they serve a major purpose as home to many animals and a place for plants to grow and thrive. I hope you learned from this video, and if you didn't, thanks for watching and subscribe.